Good afternoon. I'm sorry I cannot be with my friends of the Desk and Derrick Club in person today as you gather in the historic Oil Center, but my schedule has me in our nation's capital today. I am, however, grateful for the opportunity to speak with you via video and share a part of my day with folks who share my passion for a strong and safe domestic energy industry. And while I believe it is accurate to state that not all zip codes in America appreciate the significant contributions our oil field workers have made to our nation's energy security and national security, I am confident that today's gathering of the Desk and Derrick Club understands those contributions. After all, up until just a few years ago, Lafayette Parish, Louisiana, had the highest percentage of energy workers per capita than any other county in America. That's out of more than 3,000 counties. That's a big deal. You see, you understand more than most that when we explore, we produce, we transport, we process, and we refine homegrown American energy, we do more than just fuel the nation. We build a better, stronger, and bolder America. I certainly have enjoyed my presentations before to several Desk and Derrick chapters and even remember participating in your convention a few years ago. I hope this video presentation will convey my appreciation for the invitation to speak with you, and I particularly want to thank your President Kathy Martin as well as Carol Trosclair and Jennifer Accardo. They were very gracious in allowing me to join you today with the assistance of this technology. I also understand that my remarks are being shown today during lunchtime. So as you might guess, I'm a little jealous about missing a South Louisiana meal. And as I am spending much of my time in D.C., it is fair to state beyond missing my family and my friends, I do absolutely miss the world-class food and culture of Louisiana. But you can bet that I've brought some of Louisiana to our nation's capital, and in particular the joie de vivre, the joy of life of Acadiana. I learned in my youth that I come from a place where we know that we can do more than one thing at a time, that we can at the same time enjoy some of the best hunting, fishing, and camping in all of America. We can also help fuel and energize our great nation. I remember when I was a new college graduate of USL with my shiny new degree in petroleum land management. I got a copy of that Desk and Derrick's Lafayette Oil Directory. With that book in my hand, I felt like I was part of something big, like I had been invited to the party, given a ticket and an opportunity to network. I hear these days the directory has gone digital, but back then it was paper and it was worth its weight in gold. Many of those in the oil and gas industry relied on those contacts to get started in the business. It's great to know that some of those contacts, old friends now, are in the room enjoying a meal as we share our afternoon today. So I want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you for being part of an American industry that takes the risk, makes the payroll, pays the taxes, and absolutely makes America stronger. I'll bring greetings to you from Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke and the men and women of BSEE who are working hard every day in search of safe, sustainable American energy. President Trump, Secretary Zinke, and I are confident that by working together, we can do even greater things because after all, we share the same vision, that is robust energy production done in a safe and environmentally sustainable way. You know, I'm 100% sure that everyone in this room enjoys either a day at the beach, an afternoon on the lake, a morning hunt, or a walk in the park as much as any other group of Americans. I personally refuse to believe that people in search of energy to build a better and a stronger America don't care about the environment. We do care, and I have made that clear to everyone I've met in Washington and beyond. But we have a new mission, and it's called energy dominance, a much more audacious goal than simply energy independence. And think of how far we've come because of private sector innovation and through the strength of our oil field workers. Stop and remember, if you will, for a second, the early 1970s, when we experienced an oil embargo as a result of America's support of Israel. The immediate implications of that action caused long gasoline lines, shocked our economy, and sent us into a recession, clearly exposing a soft spot for America. The rallying call since then, and for the last 40 years, has been about American energy independence. but through the efforts of the people in this room and your brothers and sisters across America engaged in the energy sector and the leadership of our president, we no longer settle for achieving independence, but we rather seek energy dominance. Let's compare. Imagine how much progress we have made not only in America but across the globe with our agriculture dominance. Imagine on the strength of our farmers, how we have made friends across the globe, how we have influenced peace and diplomacy, and at the same time enjoyed affordable food prices here at home. You see, in our quest to feed ourselves, we have helped feed the world, and as a result, we strengthen our nation. Now comes a time, an opportunity, when we can take a page from our farmers' playbook, and rather than just feed the world on the strength of our oil field workers, we can perhaps fuel the world. And imagine the economic engine that is ready to roar, to fuel the world, when just years ago we were seeking independence, and now energy dominance is in fact an object in your rearview mirror that is closer than it may appear. But beyond the economic engine, imagine the peace dividend. And I spell peace today, P-E-A-C-E, a peace dividend that is a real possibility across the globe. Imagine the increased strength of America as we tap the oil field workers in North Dakota, Alaska, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Texas, in places like Cameron, Lake Charles, Lafayette, Jennings, Crowley, Abbeville, New Iberia, Morgan City, Homer, Fourchon, and so many other places and zip codes across the nation. One very bright spot for America's energy industry is exports. After a 40-year virtual prohibition on exporting American crude oil, we are now becoming a major exporter of energy. Consider how fast our energy exports are growing. In 2015, we exported 170 million barrels of crude oil. In 2016, we saw a 27% increase. Last year, in 2017, we saw an 89% increase in crude exports over the prior year. The trend is up. The curve is sharp. Natural gas tells us the same story, because the world is standing in line for our liquefied natural gas. Last year, we exported 3 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. That's a 300% increase from 10 years earlier and an impressive 35% increase from 2016. My point is that we now have new customers for our energy products, because we now have the ability to produce that energy and a willingness of an administration to make it available. Those customers in Europe, in Asia, and even in the Middle East. You know, this just didn't happen. It happened because of the hard work that was put in by many of you in this room. But like the song goes, we've only just begun. Energy dominance will require us to have robust exploration and production, both onshore and offshore. So to frame the discussion today, as the nation's chief regulator for offshore exploration and production, my comments will be focused on the offshore province and how it is a vital part of the American energy dominance opportunity. So how do we get there? How do we build a stronger offshore energy industry? I think it starts with first recognizing that we're not the only game in town. That while it may have been at one point in America's history, today many other provinces of the globe are competing for the same capital. You know, while physically in the same places like Russia and Africa and Canada and Brazil and Venezuela, they really are a lot closer than they were for our grandparents. And they are aggressively competing with the United States for capital deployment. Certainly this is not our grandparents' oil and gas world. And things have changed so significantly in the last decade. In commodity prices, they've changed. In the regulatory environment, they've changed. And in technology improvements, they've changed. I will suggest to you today that no generation of Americans has experienced these 3 significant changes in such a short period of time. So again, how do we achieve energy dominance? We get there by understanding that when winds blow in a different direction, we all have to adjust ourselves. And the wind blowing in a different direction can be captured in a phrase that others have coined. We really have gone from an era of scarcity to an era of abundance. It is within that phrase where we can find our vision to move from the 1980s goal of energy independence to a 2017 and beyond goal of energy dominance. So what in fact is the path forward? As I see it, it's about 6 steps. It's about access to the resource. It's about regulatory reform. It's about competitive royalty rates. It's about engagement. It's about tax reform. And it's always about safety and environmental safeguards. So let's start with access to the resource. You should know that our sister agency, BOEM, is considering revisions to those areas available for offshore leasing. You might be interested in knowing that today nearly 1 in every 5 barrels of oil that's produced in America comes from offshore, and 98% of that comes from one region, the Gulf of Mexico. It's important to know that while this 20% of America's production comes from offshore, only a mere 6% of the entire offshore provinces of our country are available for exploration. Imagine owning a farm with great soil and being told that you can only till 6% of the land. Well, in a sense, that's what's happening in offshore America. We've inherited a system, while at the same time, sources are reporting that some are calling for more production from the Middle East. I think we'd all agree that it makes more sense to produce energy here in America, create the jobs here in America, build a stronger economy here in America. And again, that starts with access to America's resources. So let's go beyond access to the resources. It continues with regulatory reform. And I would suggest that all of us agree that appropriate regulation is necessary. However, regulation that leads to strangulation has no place in the American economy. You will be pleased to know that 2 major rules, the well control rule and the production safety system rule, have gone through extensive revisiting by our regulatory specialists and are on the path to becoming the new rules of the nation, subject to the requirements of a formal process. These revised rules, once finalized, will save hundreds of millions of dollars for operators without reducing safety and in some cases improving safety, proving to the world that regulations can in fact be written in a smart way to avoid chasing capital out of the province. The result will be more energy, more investment, more jobs, and improved safety. Beyond access to the resource and beyond regulatory reform, it is important that the economics work. And that's where royalty rates are important. Certainly none of us can control the price of the commodity, but together we can impact the lifting costs. And one of the ways to impact the lifting costs is to make certain the royalty rate the government charges is competitive. And it's important to understand that what was competitive yesterday may not be competitive today. I'm excited that Secretary Zinke recently organized a royalty advisory committee with the task of making recommendations on royalty policy to keep America competitive with these other spots on the globe. That committee continues to do their work and was meeting as recently as last week in Albuquerque, seeking smart public policy. So beyond that, the path continues forward, beyond access to the resources, beyond regulatory reform, beyond competitive royalty rates. It continues with engagement. That's why you can bet. I made a list of the top 20 producers in the Gulf of Mexico, and as of this date, I have personally visited 19 of those 20. Engaging them, to thank them, to encourage them, but yes, to challenge them and to make certain they understand we are moving from an era of isolation to an era of cooperation, and from an era of creating hardships to an era of creating partnerships. Giving them my cell number and letting them know they can call me all day, every day, whether it's Monday, Sunday, Labor Day, or Mother's Day, because I recognize this is a 24/7, 365 business. The next issue, tax reform. Tax reform is important. Supporting new investment by American businesses, providing necessary incentives to enhance oil and gas exploration is essential to America achieving energy dominance. Regarding safety and environmental safeguards, as I stated earlier, I am confident everyone in this room enjoys green grass and clean air and clean water and a walk in the park or a day at the beach or a morning hunt or afternoon on the lake as much as any other group of Americans. I am also confident that everyone in this room has a friend or a relative or a neighbor or perhaps a church member that works in the oil and gas industry and wants them to return safely to their homes and families. That is why we have added a risk-based inspection program to our toolbox. We are dramatically increasing participation in the SAFE OCS program and implementing a quality assurance process to review and assess our permitting systems. These reviews by teams of engineers will ensure consistency, timeliness, and efficiency throughout the regions and districts. So again, how do we get there? How do we achieve that energy dominance? As America strives for that energy dominance, it's important that we understand the value of our nation's offshore resources. But we can only achieve energy dominance if our record of safety is unassailable and if we demonstrate to the American taxpayer that a healthy environment is a top priority for all of us, as I know it is. I recognize that you've been in the desert much of the last administration, and President Trump and Secretary Zinke have made it clear that we are going to encourage energy exploration and production on the outer continental shelf to maintain the nation's position as a global energy leader. Let us be the generation that inherited energy dependence and transformed it into energy dominance. We can only do that through safe operations, because we found out in 2010 that what happens to one of us happens to all of us. I will continue speaking across the nation that it is possible for America to have both robust energy production and safe operations. That it's not an either-or equation, that it's not subtraction, this is addition. It's time for us to change the conversation. I'm reminded of the airline industry, who talks about getting folks there safely and on time. Certainly none of us want to be there safely or on time. We believe it is an addition and not a subtraction. It's time for us to embrace that relative to oil and gas production, that we can have energy production in a robust way and safe operations. I know you all believe in that equation, and I certainly know Acadiana will help America achieve energy dominance, and together we can continue to fuel America and perhaps fuel the world. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of my day today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your meal and continue to feel the same pride that I do, because we are part of something important. We are indeed fueling America. All of us who can read should remember to thank or perhaps hug a teacher. All of us who enjoy affordable energy should thank an oil field worker. Let me hear from you. Please don't hesitate to share your ideas with me. My email address is scott.angelle@besee.gov. That's scott.angelle@besee.gov. And my cell number is 571-585-3730. Call to say hello. Call to give me some advice on what you think is the right policy for America. I'm always excited to hear from someone. And again, I want to thank you for the significant contributions that you've made to the country. I hope you enjoy your summer. And as summer reminds me of some good times, my last parting comment would be, laissez les bons temps rouler. Let the good times roll.